Welcome back to the channel. My name is Matthias. So, I have been back working on the channel and I've had quite a bit of focus on religions, which by no means I'm an expert in. Like, when you get into this subject and you dive into each individual faith system, like, there's a lot to unpack in each one. But I do have like a certain level of knowledge on the subject and on these different religions. And I think I have an interesting take on certain subjects and stuff like that, especially how religion ties in to identity politics, which that is my jam, and also how religion sort of latches itself onto national identity. So I first started off with a series of videos on Judaism, then we're going to jump to Christianity, after that Islam, after that Buddhism, and the further east we go with these belief systems, like, I have to really sit down and read a lot. But in this video, I wanted to focus on my personal journey with religion. So I was brought up as a Catholic. So back when I was living in the United States, my father would take me to church every Sunday. I would consider him to be like a traditional Catholic, but not very devout. Like, who am I to judge how people interact with their faiths? But going to church on Sunday was his thing, and it would just limit to that. Now, even though Mass was very, very boring for a 6-year-old kid, I liked going to Mass with my dad because always afterwards, like, we got to hang out. He worked a lot, so it was cool spending time with him. After church service, sometimes there would be a brunch outside, and if there wasn't any type of brunch, we would go to 7-Eleven. He would let me play the arcade games there. Still to this day, I remember going to church service for Christmas, and I went with my brand new Grimlock Transformer, and I forgot him at the church. Like, he was left sitting on the bench. That is probably the most tragic story that I have involving religion. I forgot my Christmas toy there, and my dad got really mad with me. But the thing is, like, my mom was an atheist. She would never go to Mass with us. But when I was around 10 or 11, she converted, and she became like this very hardcore Catholic. And as recent converts do, they take things up to 11. So we would go to Mass not only on Sundays, like, she would take me normal days of the week when only 4 people would go to Mass on a Tuesday. Like, the local priest there sort of took pity on me. He's like, poor kid, why are you bringing him to church on a weekday? And the thing is that also my mom got involved with like charismatic Catholic groups that were super conservative. And like, I remember going to a couple of like prayer groups where people speak in tongues, and I found that to be really, really weird and freaked me out. I also remember during that time that they hated Star Wars a lot, and they would make me watch this VHS tape on how evil Star Wars was and the Force. But this is the late 80s, early 90s, so I'm around 10, 11 years old, and I missed out on Star Wars. It was not on TV by any chance, and we would have to wait like 10 more years till it would pop up on VHS. So I didn't understand what was the deal with the Force and what was the problem in the first place. Also, my mom started combing through my comic book collection if she could find any questionable stuff there. And the thing is that even though like I really didn't like going to church on weekdays and to these prayer groups, there were a lot of really, really nice people within those groups. And as time progressed, like, we moved to Argentina and my mom got involved with the local church here. Like, be it in the US or in Argentina, priests themselves, because again, I used to hang out with a lot of priests. I was at church all the time. Were a very positive force in my life. Some of them were really good mentors. Like, I looked up to these guys. Again, like, I've never had a negative experience with a priest personally in my life. Now, I'm not saying that there were evil priests out there doing really terrible stuff to young kids and stuff like that. That's a whole nother thing. But I always felt really surprised, like in the early 2000s, hearing all this terrible stuff about the Catholic Church and sort of contrasting that with my experience. And I found it to be very jarring, but like, I understood during that time that that was very possible. Like, here in Argentina, I knew the head priest who, I can't remember the name or how you call it in English, where priests go and learn to become priests in the first place. The thing is that they had a top-notch soccer field at that place, and they would let us play there with all my friends. They had zero issues. Maybe to the point that we were sort of a bad influence to some of the younger priests or the people that were studying to be priests there, because one actually left and got married afterwards. But the thing is that, like, when I started studying the university, and especially when I started talking to one particular priest that he had like a degree in sociology, this priest sort of planted the seeds that led me down the path to becoming an agnostic. Like, and not something that he told me is like, oh my God, religion's terrible and I hate it, and the Catholic faith is perverse or whatever, or Christians. Just the idea that he conveyed to me that he really wasn't down with the whole idea of magical thinking and superstition within the Catholic faith put me on this path of myself questioning my faith, even though I never considered myself to be very religious in the first place. Really not being cool with magical thinking, and just like this priest, superstition is really not my thing. But I never became like this hardcore atheist. I never had an axe to grind with people that have faith or religions in general, even though I am very critical. I myself find atheists to be pretty insufferable and very arrogant in the way they carry themselves when they criticize religions or the belief of God in the first place. But I did find it super interesting when we had the rise of Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins and all those new atheists and how they view the world. Even though I was not on the same page with those guys, I could at least value their take and how they see things, because I really think it's important to put yourself in the shoes of other people and try to understand where they come from. And personally, when I started to study the history of Christianity and later on Judaism and Islam, at least I think I knew something about the Abrahamic religions, the way the Bible was written, and in the case of Christianity, the historical context when it was born and how it evolved. I can understand its immense historical value, and I can see the good and the bad. A lot of people just focus on the bad or the good. They don't want to see the other side. Also, the extreme importance of, I hate this term, it makes me cringe every time I hear it, but just to oversimplify my point, Judeo-Christian values in the West, how we define morals and ethics on our side of the world. I can't understand or fathom, and therefore believe in a metaphysical being that's all-knowing and all-powerful. I can't prove or disprove, and therefore I just leave it at that. At most, I can accept the concepts of good and evil, and of love, or that there are things that are totally outside of the realm of any type of explanation, at least for now. Now, as an adult, I'm pretty progressive on some issues and conservative on others. I still do consider myself to be a Catholic, even though I'm agnostic. It's weird. There are basic Catholic moral principles that I think they're correct, and I choose to teach my kids some of those moral values, and others that I think are completely wrong. And as religious people, we pick and choose what we want from our faith, because that's something that becomes very apparent when you start studying people that are religious. They pick and choose whatever the hell they want from their faith, and they decide to leave stuff out and not look at it. I know a lot of Catholics that read the Bible, because that's a whole other thing. A lot of Catholics don't read the Bible in the first place. They will not touch the Old Testament. It's way too hardcore. They do Genesis and then they just jump to the New Testament. That's it. That aside, we're going to leave this video here. I hope you guys liked it. See you.